What's up, everybody? We are here today with Azul Garcia Griego, who just came back from the Pokémon World Championships, where he placed 4th. Azul, I feel like you probably got this question a lot, but how are you feeling after that?
I'm feeling pretty good. I've been playing for a long time, and I feel like I've always had like the title of being like one of the top players in the game, but I've never top eighted worlds until this year. So it felt good to kind of, I don't know, I guess like what is the saying, like get that monkey off your back or whatever it might be, to just I feel like actually establish myself as maybe being a top player in the game, especially for how long I've been playing. I've won regionals, I've won international championships, I've consistently been at the top level of the game, but never had that top 8 at Worlds yet. And I went, a step further, got the top 4. Would have been nice to go a step further than that, make it to the finals, and maybe even win the whole thing. But I still plan on playing competitively next season and in the future, so there's still plenty of time to do that. But it felt really good to get that top 8 and kind of feel like I have cemented myself as like a top player in the game, because I feel like that's definitely something I was missing as a player, especially when that title is kind of put onto me as being a top player in the game. I felt like I hadn't quite earned it yet because I hadn't got that top 8 at Worlds yet, so it felt really good to kind of achieve that.
What type of strategy did you go into the championships with?
So me and my team, the CGC team, me and the crew, we have the same philosophy or the same method that we apply to like every single tournament to try and come up with the what we just think is like the best deck for the tournament. We basically do apply that to every single major tournament that we go to. We just like, all right, what do we think is the best tournament or the best deck for this tournament that we're going to? And then we have like a system that we go through with like a spreadsheet and trying to get as much time into testing certain matchups as we possibly can to try and come up with what we think is the best deck for that tournament. And then that's the same thing we applied to Worlds, no different than any other major.
So what was it about? I think I had read somewhere you guys went back to a Mew deck. Was that correct?
Yeah.
What was it about that deck then that you thought this is the best deck that we could use at the Worlds?
Yeah. So me and the crew, we at post COVID, the first like half season post COVID that happened over a year ago now, we were on Mew for a while and we weren't really applying our system to the deck choice back then. We were kind of just like the meta felt really weird. There was only like a couple top decks, and a lot of them were Arceus decks and a bunch of different Arceus variants. So it felt like it was hard for us to kind of apply our system to the metagame back then. So we just kind of played Mew over and over again to very little success, unfortunately. But going into Worlds this year, we just applied our system that we had applied throughout the whole season up to this point, and Mew was just it was winning the most. And it was like, well, if it's just winning the most, and we're confident in our predictions for meta share of other decks and its matchup spread and the other decks matchup spreads, then there's no reason not for us just not to play Mew. And if we're applying our system that we applied through all the regionals we've gone to, all the ICs we've gone to, and we've had continued success at those, and we're still confident in our system, there's no reason for us to give up on our system just because it's the World Championships.
Yeah, so you're going through it, you're getting there. Was there any sort of moments where you thought maybe you would not get to the final 8? Were there any sort of scary matchups that you had?
My run was actually pretty smooth overall. I didn't really have any real hiccups throughout it. I started off what was it? I think I started off 3-0, and then I did take a loss. I ended the day overall, or ended the Swiss rounds at 6-1-1 before top cut. So I was 3-0, and then I made a couple of mistakes in the matchup as well. I hit a rough matchup, or not a rough matchup. It was probably rougher than I thought. They had both of the techs. They had the Drapion and the Spiritomb, which are both tech cards for the Mew matchup. I only saw the Drapion ever because I made a couple of mistakes, and it made it so they only had to ever use the Drapion in the matchup. So I took a loss to a Gudra with Drapion and Spiritomb. And then from there, I coasted pretty well. I hit some good matchups after that, and I just coasted up to 6-1. And then I hit Tord in round 7, and because we were both at 6-1 at that point, or round 8, we were just able to ID. So I didn't really have there was no matchups I was really scared of hitting. We really did do our due diligence with like the testing leading up to the tournament, so we were confident in all the matchups. So I wasn't really scared of hitting any matchup specifically. And there was no matchups up towards like the top tables towards the end of it all that I was really scared of running into either. I guess I ran to the scariest deck, which was that Gudra deck. And yeah, after taking that loss, Kai kind of coasted pretty easily. I had a couple good matchups. After that, I hit like the Rapid Strike deck and stuff like that. And then yeah, hit Tord in round 8, and we were both 6-1, so we just ID'd and put us both in top 8. from there.
That's awesome. So just reminding folks, we're here with Azul. He finished fourth at the World Championships on Pokemon, part of the Team CGC Cards competitive team. So leading up to the championships, you're talking about you guys did a lot of testing. How many hours is that? How many days is that? How do you coordinate when people are living like across the country? Like how does that work?
It's pretty tough for me. I don't prior to actually getting to the tournament. I don't have a lot of time to actually test games. I'm a full time content creator in Twitch and YouTube and all that stuff, and I do coaching as well. So time to actually like sit down and get on Discord and actually test with the rest of the group, rest of the team. I don't really have a whole ton of time to do that. So most of the time, I'm just kind of coming with my theoretical knowledge as what I would apply towards where we're at in the format and the meta and what I think was probably good and probably bad. I mean, like the time I still spend playing the game when I stream or through coaching still has some value, not as much as it would be if I actually sat down and played with the team and put more hours in with that. So I don't really get to coordinate any kind of time to actually play with them leading up to tournaments. But like once we actually get to the tournament, that's basically all we do. Like, so I got to Japan on Monday, and then Monday to Thursday because we didn't play until Friday. Did we play on Friday? No, we played on Saturday. So Monday to Friday, all we did was just like test and talk. And I think actually one of the more important things to actually do, especially for the level that me and the rest of the team are at, is actually to talk about this theory about the meta and decks and tech cards and situations more so than actually playing games. Like that's a really important step to do initially, and make sure you have like a goal and a strategy and something you want to actually do when you actually start to sit down and playing games. Because you don't just want to sit down and play a bunch of games with no goal in mind, right? Just mindlessly playing games. So the initial talking part is like really important to figure out, okay, what are we trying to accomplish in these next couple days leading up to the tournament, so we can try and narrow down what we think we're going to play.
No, that's awesome. I mean, I'm sure that a lot of your work prior to that, like you said, like, to coaching and just like doing everything else sort of is like the practice sort of leading up to the big championships. That's really, it's very time intensive, probably people who don't follow, Pokemon like that way probably don't realize the amount of like time and effort it takes to get to this point.
Yeah. And I think the biggest thing, in the game, and in all card games, is like consistency of achievements, not just like that one achievement, because there is a lot of variance in card games. So for me specifically, I kind of come to this like realization of myself, like I'm trying to leave a legacy on the game. I don't want to just like have one regional championship. Or even just won the world championships and that's it. And that's the only thing I ever did in the game, because I don't think that's going to leave a lasting impression on the game for myself as a player or my legacy that I could leave on the game. So I'm trying to not even just win the world championships, but I'm trying to win as many major tournaments as possible. And I think that'll solidify myself as a great player, because the amount of variance in the game, it's one achievement isn't enough to really solidify yourself as a great player in a card game like Pokemon or Magic or Yu-Gi-Oh, any of the games. There's enough variance in the game where you need a lot of big achievements to really solidify yourself as a great player.
That's awesome. I know too, when you get to a certain point of the championships, you get trophy cards or you get something. What did you get from your fourth place finish?
So I got the trophy, the physical trophy. There's the top trainer cards that all of the top 4 gets. So I got the number 4 top trainer card, and then there's a cash prizing, of course, as well. So I got 7,500 USD, which I'll get eventually, I'm sure. And then also the promo cards. So they do, for just being a Worlds competitor, you get a promo card, and then for each placement of top 32 or higher, you get a placement card for each of those placements you achieve. So I got like a top 32 one, a top 16 one, a top 8 one, and then a semi-finalist one as well. So
for people who are watching at home for the Worlds, there were so many images, so many videos coming out, and it was just like beyond obviously the tournament. It seemed just like such a crazy experience. Besides your incredible finish, what are some of the things that you're going to take away from your trip to Japan?
I mean, it was just really cool to visit Japan. I definitely want to go back when it's not in the summer, because it was really, really hot, really humid in the summer in Japan. It was just like, I mean, Worlds is always a great experience. I feel like the international tournaments in general are always a ton of fun. You get to see a lot of other competitors from around the world, and it's cool to talk to them, play play against them, interact with them. So not just at Worlds, but like the international championships that happen throughout the year as well. So that's always like an extra added bonus to competing in those, where the regionals are kind of a little bit more just like, your local country or regions players. So that's always like a good time. But then actually just visiting Japan was really sick. It was my first time in Japan. Japan was really cool. Definitely want to, like I said, I definitely want to make my way back there when it's not in the summer at some point, because that'd be dope. But yeah, Japan was really cool. I feel like this is like definitely the biggest Worlds yet, not just in terms of, I don't even know how many competitors it is compared to previous years, but just in terms of the scope, the kind of show that Pokemon wanted to put on. It kind of makes sense. First Worlds in Japan, and the game's only been growing bigger and bigger and bigger. So who knows how big next year's Worlds will be as well, in terms of just kind of the spectacle they're trying to put on for the tournament and the event in general. And hopefully that just keeps growing and growing. I felt like it was definitely a step up this year than previous years, and hopefully year after year after year, Pokemon just keeps up putting on a bigger and better show.
That's awesome. It's in Hawaii next year, right?
Yeah, in Hawaii.
Not a bad spot to go to.
Yeah, definitely. Hawaii's beautiful. I've been there once. I was there a couple years ago for the first time. Definitely very beautiful. So excited to visit it again.
Cool. Did you pick up anything while in Japan, like any cool Pokemon cards or anything besides like, your promo and your trophy cards?
A couple like little trinkets. I went to a lot of shops while I was there. A lot of the local stores. So I picked up a couple little trinkets. I'm not like a huge collector, but there's like little things that I like to like pick up around the Pokemon TCG that kind of stand out to me. So I didn't pick up too much there. I definitely was doing a lot of looking, but nothing really stood out to me on that scale for sure.
Okay, awesome. Well, Azul, thanks so much. I really appreciate it. And again, congratulations on your 4th place finish at the World Championships.
Thank you. I appreciate it.